Good morning. We are here again, Empathy in Action, Central New York, CNY, and we are gathering individual voices and people across the community to set up a picture of where we are today. Where do we stand? What are we looking at? What are we dealing with? And we all know what we're dealing with. We're all having a shared experience here of this pandemic and reopening, and what are we doing? And I have been waiting for this interview because all of us have an idea, and this is, let's talk non-teachers. We all have an idea that teachers were thrown into this and immediately had to figure, how do we teach without being in the classroom? And then have to go through the entire semester. How are we handling not only the technology, our own lives, being at home, and reaching out to the students? How are we there for them? How are we teaching them? What does it look like? What does a curriculum online look like? What can we do? What can't we do? And so I understand why I could not see Melissa prior to now, because I think she was a little busy. But not only that, Melissa brings a 3.5-year-old beautiful young princess to the picture here that she also has, and add to that her husband is a teacher also, guidance counselor. So here we are. We are very privileged to be able to talk to Melissa this morning. This is Melissa Quinn. She teaches 5th grade, and so that brings a whole different realm of challenges that we'll talk about. And let's get into it. Good morning, Melissa. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me. This is exciting. I'm glad to finally have the time to sit down and see you and chat.
Yeah, it's
wonderful.
So tell us, you know, we have an idea of what that looked like. Let's go back to March 15th, 16th, right in there. You know, give us an idea firsthand. What were you doing?
Yeah, well, you know, one thing we were not ready for was to actually shut down. I think that going back, and it seems like it was so long ago now. Well, it was so long ago now. Going back and just watching what was happening, you know, on the other side of the world, and then watching what was happening on the other side of the country. And then slowly, I think we kind of had a mindset that was, oh, you know, that stinks for them. Good thing that, you know, it's not here. And then slowly just watching it creep closer and closer. And then I think the uneasiness started sinking in, like, oh my gosh. I remember we had a Friday conference day. And so we didn't have students. And it had arrived. And we were like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? And we were watching the news instead of, you know, going through with whatever we should have been doing. And that's when they were setting the guidelines for, if it comes to this county, this is what the schools would do. And we were thinking, oh my gosh, so should we go back to our rooms and start planning for not being here? Like it has become a reality. And then the weekend came. And so we left Friday thinking, we'll see each other Monday, right? Like we'll be able to get back together and figure all of this out. And then, you know, kind of hit us, and we came back, and not all the kids did, rightfully so. So we left Thursday not knowing that would be the last time you'd see some of your kids, and they weren't coming back Monday, and no one was really coming back after Tuesday. So just, it was kind of a little bit of a crazy time. And the idea was we'd be back in a couple weeks. So, you know, we pulled together some packets, sent them home, said, we'll see you guys in a couple weeks, bring them back with you, and we'll finish the year. And then just watching the news every week, and that date getting pushed back. You know, we had to really scramble to get everything from our paper to digital. And, you know, I think that's when you really saw people come together and help, at least where we teach. So it wasn't ideal. We figured it out. I think if we end up in something like that again, we'll be a lot more wouldn't say prepared, but a lot more organized
Yeah.
to prepare. But it was crazy, and it wasn't ideal. So not being able to finish the year really, I think it really took its toll on all of us, because that's what you've worked so hard for. The first 3 semesters was to get to that last one and kind of have it all culminate and come together, and we didn't get that. So, and more importantly, the kids didn't get that. They didn't get to see that. That's the reward part of the year. So
Yeah.
that was unfortunate. And in the middle of all of it, trying to decide if we should be pulling Harper, that's our 3-year-old, what should we do with her? Should we leave her school stayed open? And, we decided, well, they're not staying open for us. They're staying open for the essential workers. So we need to give them that, that opportunity and that space to do it. So we brought her home, thinking, yeah, we can teach her.
We could do
And
this.
very quickly learned that isn't as easy as it sounds.
No. So you and your husband split the day.
We split the day. Yeah. And that's how we started. We would kind of figure out who had meetings when. And for me, a lot of the stuff that I presented to my kids, it wasn't live video. We only met live video for the social emotional piece. So the academic piece, I could work on at night. I could work on, sporadically through the day, where my husband was more the live piece in the beginning. So he would take the mornings, and I would have Harper's mommy school, and her daycare, her pre-K was amazing, because they would send us what they were doing every day. And you could and they would give you links for where you could find the activities. So I thought, oh my goodness, I only have one student. I am going to follow this curriculum for pre-K. And whew, it just lasted, good week, maybe a week and a half. I realized very quickly why I teach 5th grade and not 3.5-year-olds. And then I just couldn't, I guess I didn't fully understand the attention span of a 3-year-old. So yeah, that was, I tried to flip-flop a couple times and say, how about daddy school today? And now I'll do the morning, daddy, that's her playmate. So yeah, it got interesting fast.
So not only are you looking at a long day of constantly being there and paying attention and putting things together and creating new things. I mean, everything's a new lifestyle, but it was probably a little emotionally draining at the same time. I mean,
Oh my goodness.
for the entire house.
I don't know. I would love to know how many actual full hours of sleep we got through March and April, because I think it was probably very minimal, because your mind's racing. You go to lay down and you're thinking, did I answer all my emails? Was my Zoom long enough? Is my lesson really uploaded for tomorrow? Did I put the right date in? Is it going to be up at 6 a.m.? What did I forget to do? Did I, and you just can't stop thinking about those things, because that's your classroom now. And yeah, it was a lot, and then your 3-year-old's not sleeping, because her life's been turned upside down also. They kind of feed off our energy. So yeah, it got tough before it got a little bit easier, and and now we're living in limbo.
Yeah, just waiting. Yeah.
Okay.
So you did get a schedule down, and you were able to be in contact with your students. So,
Yes.
So this is something that I didn't really understand before I spoke with you, because my children are older, and I've blocked out everything between then and now. And I couldn't tell you what a 10-year-old feels or thinks or anything like that. But it was really enlightening to speak with you, because as we discussed a little bit, a 10-year-old is not independently learning yet.
Right.
So a 10-year-old is still coming into school looking at teachers as more of a parent figure than as a teacher. So there is a need there for care. And
Right.
for, and until you had said something about until that care is established, they're not going to learn anything. And I know you explain this better than I do, but I think it's important for people who are listening to this right now understand that 10-year-old mentality that you are, an expert at.
Well, it is so interesting, and you when you sit down and plan for your upcoming school year, and this is what I fear the most about what could happen next month. You have to kind of win them over in a sense. They have to feel that you care about them. They do, and once you can get a fifth grader to really feel that, and when they understand that you're really there for them and you care about them and you're going to help them and they're safe, I think safety is a really huge factor. That's when they really start performing for you and taking risks and working hard. And I think you have to establish that first. And we take a lot of time, especially in fifth grade, because they're new to the middle school. They're still very young. They're 9 and 10 coming into a very scary situation. It's the middle school. So I think we, as a team of fifth grade teachers, I think we do a really nice job getting together and creating those opportunities for them to connect with each other, connect with us, try to create that welcoming atmosphere. And I just think that's really important. And I think it's important to do it face to face and in person, because I think it's easy to sit behind this screen. I can tell you all day long that I'm a very empathetic and caring and loving teacher, but you have to feel that. And think that's really hard to do. You can tell someone that all day, but you really need to show it. So while this all happened, I kept trying to get creative with, okay, how can I still kind of sneak visits in with my kids or see them? They need to see my face. So what do you think they miss the most about fifth grade? It's probably not math class. It's probably not, reading books in ELA. So I was like, what do I do? What do we do that they look forward to? So we do like trivia on Thursday mornings. So the other team of teachers that I work with, we would do that. We're like, we can still do trivia. We can do it through Zoom. They look forward to birthdays because, that day is theirs. And we don't do that much, but it's enough. They're acknowledged. So I got all the addresses of my April and May birthdays, and I'd show up and drop off a donut or a pencil. And so I could see them through the window, of course. And, just tell them happy birthday. And sorry that we can't do it the way we should be able to, but, just kind of creating opportunities to show them you still care. And I think that was definitely the hardest part.
Yeah, absolutely. And then looking forward to the fall with new fifth graders coming in and trying to establish that relationship. I mean, at least with this group, you had the first 3 semesters to establish the relationship. This would be a brand new group with brand new teachers and a new atmosphere. And besides new atmosphere, I mean, a brand new Zoom atmosphere if school isn't open, and trying to establish that relationship. So, I am so far from being a teacher, but I kind of imagine that high school students, they could continue the Zoom. They're kind of established in that way. But for this age range, you've really won me over in that they need to be in the same room, no matter how it works out. So, as we discussed earlier, we'll be waiting for the governor and the county and everybody to make decisions to figure out what it looks like. And then obviously, just like every other decision that's being made, we'll jump in and find the best way to deal with it. But yeah, it's a unique situation.
And I'm hopeful that even if, and I wish I could predict the future, but even if we do end up home again, I'm just hopeful that there's even a little bit of time in the beginning to see them in person and just meet them. We haven't met them. They haven't met us. And I think it would help a lot. And that's my opinion. I'm sure a lot of people have their own opinions, but for me, that's the kind of teacher I am. I love the in-person.
Yeah.
I'm a people person, so it's doable this way. It's not ideal,
Right. Right.
you
And
get 20 kids on a Zoom call and it's a little chaotic and
yeah. Well, we talked about grading before too, which was a question on my mind, starting way back. How do you grade and what does it look like? And are you grading the family atmosphere and the parents, or are you grading the child, and what is fair and what's happening when everybody comes back, to a totally different atmosphere? Is the grade that they're receiving at home a different grade than they would have received in person, is the key thing. And one of the most profound things you told me from our previous conversation is about the relationship that you had with them prior, then you had with them online, and then afterwards you actually went to each house and you
yeah.
saw, maybe got the visual of where they were from and maybe even what support they had or what it looked like.
Yeah. And, and I know I told you this before, but it's definitely something that I wish I had done at the beginning. Because you really do. You don't know what's going on in their homes. You don't know if their parents are working. You don't know how many siblings are also using that computer, or, what time are you really getting out of bed? What time did you go to bed? Is there anyone there that can help you if you do get stuck and you can't find me? And I think until you see where they're all living and until you have to gather more information. And I think if we had the time to do that before, it would have helped us so much. And, different kids are going to come from different backgrounds. And that's where you're absolutely right. That grading piece, I think that's probably one of the things we discussed the most when we all got together. How do you grade and who are we grading? And are some of these parents really like tutors and being able to teach these kids all of these skills? Or are they on their own? And you don't know unless you're in the home. We don't really know.
Yeah.
So that was really, really hard. And, the idea was no one was going to fail. As long as they would connect with you and you knew it was more of a safety thing. Are they safe? Is there anything that they need? And we kind of went from there, and we kept really close track of who's not checking in and why,
Yeah.
and trying to figure that piece out. And is there more to it? Is there anything they need, or what could we do to connect? So I think it was easier this past time around because we did know them a little bit. We just didn't know where they were living and stuff like that. But going into it this time, I think would be harder because we wouldn't know them at all before. So you get that opportunity? Do you go house to house at the beginning? I mean, ideally, that's what I would like to do. I don't know. And it's kind of what the parents are comfortable with also.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I know that you split up what you were teaching and things like that, and how many students you had. And when I said this to my husband, who's a retired teacher, he said, well, yeah, that might work for Melissa because she's got this number of students, but he had hundreds of students. He's
right.
Like, there's no way I could have done that. So, it's all what you could possibly do too, but I appreciate where you're coming from. Now,
no, that's true. He's absolutely right. He hundreds at different levels. So
yeah. So, I want to just touch on what you're doing this summer, that you and the other fifth grade team, and how's that going?
It's funny. I talked to the special ed teacher who also works in my classroom, and he said just a couple days ago, he said, have you actually taken a breath yet? He said, I feel like this isn't really summer, and we haven't been able to just have a day where you just take a breath. And I hadn't really thought of it like that. I'm like, geez, he's right. No, the answer is no, we haven't, because, we're still working every day. And a lot of the fifth grade teachers, we're working on taking our language arts curriculum and making it digital. Regardless of if we're back or not, it's ideal to have it digital and it's useful. So basically, as soon as school technically ended, the next week we were back together working on our curriculum and trying to get it ready for the fall, and still meeting every week and still, finding time to pull it all together. And I still Zoom with my class at least once a week.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't all show up, but the ones that do, I like staying in touch with them, and I think some of them need it. So no, I don't think anything has really ended, and I think we jumped right back into it. And I think that's good. At least we're preparing for whatever maybe.
Whatever it is. Yeah. So is there anything else that you want to touch on? I know I cruised through some of these things, and one note I wanted to make was that I made a note of drive-by empathy, which
Yeah.
I think we
Right.
can use in the future. But anything that you want to share or put out there, or any hopes or dreams for September?
Well, I know what my hopes and dreams are, to be able to be in my classroom at some capacity back in the classroom with live students would be ideal for me. You had me think after our last conversation. I said she really wanted to know how the community pulled together and then what I learned. So I kept thinking about that. And I think we'll see more of the community pull together as soon as we have direction on what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I think you're going to see people taking care of each other. I think that groups of people have moved from being in total isolation to being able to help each other, whether it be with childcare or teaching or whatever. I think that's when we're really going to see, if you can't have full capacity in your school and what will happen on the off days, I think that's when you're going to see people really start helping each other out. I think they're going to have to. And I think that will be neat. And it happened for us in between my conversation with you last week and today. We had someone reach out to us and say, if Harper doesn't go back to her school in the fall, I'm considering, I'm a certified kindergarten teacher. I'm considering, having a few of the teachers' kids come to me if you need a place for her to go. And I was like, holy cow, that's ideal. And that's, and that's exactly what you were talking about. We're coming together. We're helping each other out. And, I think you had 3 phases. I think when it first happened, everybody was very empathetic and very caring, and how are we going to get through this together? Then I think there was a bit of an anger phase, like, okay, we're still here. Now we're angry. Right. We're over it. And now I think we're coming back around to kind of more of like an anxious, caring and empathetic place. But I think that, once we got through okay, there's nothing we can do about this. How are we going to move on and help each other? I think it's going to get really interesting. And I just can't wait to see kind of how people come together, because we're going to have to.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
So,
good.
Yeah.
Optimism, anyway.
I'm trying.
It's a good day.
Now, if you interviewed me tomorrow, I might have a totally different outlook.
Well, thank you so much, Melissa.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. And
do this again. I think let's get to October. Okay. And I think we should do it again.
Good. Well, I'll book it now. So I'll commit you now. Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. Take care of yourself. Okay.
Thank you. Have a great day. It's great to see you.
You too.